Hello, my dear students. Welcome you all. So, UPSC Science and Technology Mark Test 1 కి సంబంధించినటువంటి explanation we are going to discuss about the questions and వాటికి సంబంధించినటువంటి each and every component we are going to discuss. So, I made question paper on par with the current trend of the paper setting, and second important segment is nothing but based on the elimination techniques, and I kept certain logics to identify the right answer or to identify the wrong answer. So let us start our discussion with reference to the test 1. So look at the first question. If you look at the first question, so two scientists that discovered antiprotons in 1955. From the past 10 years, if you can observe the question papers from Science and Technology, particle physics is predominantly playing a key role. For example, in particle physics, you can see multiple components like quarks, anti-quarks, proton, antiproton. Okay, likewise, and particle physics like LIGO, or else in the case of CERN, okay, Atlas. Those are the important institutions that are very important for your examination point of view. So those topics can be most expected for your examination point of view. So in that context, I identified the certain questions. Okay, quarks are very important. Actually, what is meant by quarks? If you look at the concept of quarks, if you want to see what actually is the meaning of quarks, you know atom, okay, you know inside the atom there is nucleus and electrons, okay, but inside the nucleus you can see proton and neutron, outside the nucleus you can see the electrons. So up to there only we have studied in various segments of our preparation. But with what the protons are made up of, with what the neutrons are made up of, with what the electrons are made up of, is the real story of particle physics. So if you look at the protons are made up of quarks. Protons are atomic particles, and these protons are made up of quarks. So as protons are made up of quarks, antiprotons are made up of anti-quarks. That is a very important thing. Okay, so antiprotons in 1955. Okay, so do you understand the concept now? Protons are made up of quarks, antiprotons are made up of anti-quarks. Okay, so these antiprotons were first discovered in 1955 by M.O.C.K and Chamberlain. M.O.C.K and Chamberlain are the two scientists that have discovered the subatomic particles called as antiprotons. Remember this concept: protons are made up of quarks and antiprotons are made up of anti-quarks. So the antiprotons that are made up of anti-quarks were first discovered in 1955 by M.O.C.K and Chamberlain are the two scientists that have discovered these particular protons and antiprotons. Name of the woman astronaut from Saudi Arabia to move into space through AX-2 space mission. Okay, so Rayana Barnawi is the first woman from the Saudi to enter into the space. It is very important for your examination point of view. Rayana Barnawi is the first woman to enter into space from the Saudi Arabia. So the investments of Saudi Arabia into space are extremely important for your examination point of view. So the main important concept with reference to these particular areas, okay, in terms of the examination point of view, or else in the case of space program, okay, so Saudi is developing multiple missions with reference to the space. So any information with reference to the Saudi space program can be most potential for your examination point of view. They are planning to send humans to moon. They are planning by 2100, they want to establish separate colonies on the south pole of the moon. So further, they are creating certain environments to reach to the south pole of the moon. Quarks are made up of, okay, which quarks are needed for the formation of protons? As I already told you, protons are made up of quarks, antiprotons are made up of anti-quarks. So the protons made up of quarks, so which quarks are actually responsible for the formation of quarks? Which quarks? UDD are the quarks. Okay, UDD are the quarks that actually make the formation of the protons. Okay, so remember, so there are different 6 types of quarks: up, down, charm, strange. Okay, likewise there are 6 types of quarks. So 2 types of quarks are responsible for the formation of protons. Up, down are the two. So if you allow the quarks, so some quarks will move to the top direction, up direction. Some quarks will try to move to the down direction. Based on their mobility and based on their movement, we can see the formation of the quarks. So I hope you understand the concept of the quarks. Okay. So this is the most expected topic for your examination point of view. Name of the communication system to be especially launched for Gaganyaan mission. So in Gaganyaan, these are the 2 important topics that are always important for your examination point of view. Number 1 is Vyomitra, number 2 is IDRSS. The existing communication satellite system is not sufficient, cannot provide communication to the Gaganyatris. So Gaganyatris, okay, Gaganyaan mission, so these people will go into the space and they will be orbiting into the low Earth orbit, which is located at the height of 160 to 2000 kilometers. So this height is not more at this height. Are you understanding the concept? At this height, the sign if they want to identify the things, okay, for making the communication, the satellites must be deployed into the geostationary orbit. So for dedicated, specially dedicated communication satellite system for the Gaganyaan mission is nothing but IDRSS. What is IDRSS? Indian Data Relaying Satellite System. IDRSS stands for Indian Data Relaying Satellite System is the IDRSS that has been developed for the establishment, especially for the Gaganyaan mission. Okay, so the concept of Gaganyaan mission was initiated through this particular area. In space will have its own Directorate for Technical, Legal, Safety and Security Monitoring and Activity Promotions is mostly responsible for which of the following activities? So, in space and NSIL can be the most expected topics for your examination point of view. In space and NSIL. In space and NSIL, okay, are the 2 important organizations which are mediating private organizations with the ISRO. Now, Government of India is deliberately trying to privatize the space program as well as nuclear program. So, we are extremely far behind highly developed space agencies like NASA, JAXA, likewise. The reason is we are not at all encouraging the private partners. So, for dedicatedly encouraging the private partners in space program, the Union government established two organizations. One is InSpace and NSIL. So what is the function? What are the functions of InSpace? So promote and handhold the private sector for their participation in space sector. So for active participation of the private sector, private sector, so this InSpace is extremely important. InSpace is extremely important. So it will guide the private organizations, it will guide the private agencies to it will guide the private organizations to keep the mechanisms to the certain area. Okay. So promote and handhold the private sector for their participation in space sector. It will enhance the socio-economic use of space assets and activities, including through improved access to space assets, data and facilities. Okay. So whatever the infrastructure is there of ISRO, okay, space infrastructure will be available to the private agencies through the particular organization called as InSpace. So remember, InSpace, there is a space. Okay, what is the actual literal meaning of the space here? It provide, are you understanding the concept? It provide the concept of, it provide the infrastructure, it make the availability of infrastructural facility for the for these particular areas. Okay, so that is the important concept with reference to the segment called as what? In space. Okay. So 1 and 2 are correct. Okay, both the statements are correct with reference to the InSpace. InSpace is a organization which facilitates the formation of the space agency. Okay, space agency with private partners. UN Decade of Ocean for Sustainable Development, okay, is between 2021 to 2030. In between 2021 to 2030, so particularly ISRO has launched several missions. ISRO has launched several missions in terms of these particular areas. Okay, for establishing, are you understanding the concept? For establishing the multiple parameters in that particular area. Okay, United Nations Decade of ocean development. So, for example, for ocean observation, OceanSat, all these, okay, to optimal utilization of the marine resources is the one of the important aspect with reference to the area called as United Nations Decade of Sustainable Development. Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services, INCOIS, is located in Hyderabad. Actually, INCOIS is the one of the premier institute that alert the people with reference to the disaster management. Okay, especially for the disasters. Okay, to establish the disasters. So to identify the disasters. Okay, this organization is very important. Okay, so Indian Ocean, whatever the disturbances, tectonic plate disturbances that happens in the deepest part of the Indian Ocean will be informed. Will be through the signals. It will some radars, certain devices has been kept in the deepest part of the Indian Ocean. If any trembling, any disturbance that happens in the deepest part of the Indian Ocean will be signaled to the satellites. From the satellites, INCOIS Hyderabad will be alerted, and this INCOIS will alert the people who are living in the coastal zone. So all this mechanism will happen at just within seconds. So that is why this INCOIS organization, okay, after tsunami, okay, Tamil Nadu tsunami, so the government of India has initiated this mechanism now. After Orissa super cyclone, disaster management organization has established. After the tsunami, this INCOIS has been established by the government of India. So, SAMIR, Society for Applied Microwave Electronic Engineering and Research. SAMIR is an institution set up by Ministry of Communication and Information Technology, is located in Chennai. So actually, if any new technology, either it may be related with the mobile technology or it is related with certain components, okay, will be initiated by the SAMIR. What actually meant by SAMIR is nothing but SAMIR is the organization. SAMIR is the organization. Okay, for example, Government of India is planning to launch 5G technology. For what about the radiation that can be caused by the 5G? And what are the unique features of the 5G? All these aspects will be identified through the mechanism called as the testing will be done by the SAMIR, either 6G, whatever may be the mobile or microwave radiation. So SAMIR is the premier institute in terms of the microwave radiation, which is located in Chennai. The towers of 5G can travel to the maximum distance. So 5G and 6G are very important. Okay, so there is no concept of towers in 6th generation mobile technology. There is towers will not be there in 6th generation mobile technology. Why? Because every satellite in the space will act as a tower. There will be no towers on the ground for transmitting the data to your mobiles. So every satellite will act as a tower in 6th generation mobile technology. For example, in 4G, the tower will cover with a range of 5 kilometers. Okay, whereas in the case of in 5G, the towers will be within the range of 100 to 150 meters. So as the frequency is increasing, so the range will automatically diminishes. Okay, so if you want to get the best optimal data, you need to establish the components at the lowest range. Okay, so 100 to 150 meters is one of the important range that can be seen, particularly to the 5G towers. But whereas in the case of 6G towers, for 6th generation mobile technology, there is no satellites, there is no tower. Every satellite will act as a tower which is located in the space. So you may ask, already satellites are there, why we can't use those satellites in 5G? Okay, 5G satellites, are you understanding the concept? 5G, 4G, these communication satellites has been deployed in the geostationary Earth orbit, which is located at 36,500 kilometers. But whereas in the case of For 6th generation mobile technology, the satellites has been deployed at the low Earth orbit of 100 to 2000 kilometers, 160 to 2000 kilometers. So that is why Starlink has become so popular in this particular area. Mobile hotspots, RFID, Bluetooth works on which of the following waves? Radio waves. Okay, so this is the very, very stock question. Every alternate year, we can expect one question from this particular area. Okay, from every alternate year. So, if you look at your mobile receives the signals from the Wi-Fi. If you are trying to get the information through the Bluetooth, okay, RFID, okay, hotspot, everything works on the transmission of the radio waves. Radio waves are the fundamental waves which are actually responsible for the transmission of the data, Discover the oldest DNA in Poland. So, this is the current topic. eDNA generally, don't confuse it with small e. E stands for environmental DNA. So, the DNA which is actually responsible for identifying the evolution of the genetic information is called as environmental DNA. Small e DNA is nothing but electronic DNA. Okay, so that there is no concept of electronic DNA. Environmental DNA. What is the concept of environmental DNA? Environmental DNA is very important in terms of the formation. Okay, to identify the evolution of the things. Under National Viral Hepatitis Control Program, which virus is mainly targeted? Okay, so listen, there are 5 viruses that cause hepatitis. Hepatitis A, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, hepatitis D, hepatitis E virus. A and E viruses are they are transmitted through the contaminated food and water. But whereas in the case of B and D are interlinked. So through the polluted water, we can see the transmission of the 2 viruses, hepatitis A virus and hepatitis E virus. But whereas in the case of hepatitis B and D, what is the concept of hepatitis D and E? Hepatitis D virus, okay, will survive only with the presence of hepatitis B virus. I am repeating, for the survival of hepatitis D virus, who must be there? Who has to be there? Hepatitis B must be there. So, if we can eliminate hepatitis B virus, hepatitis D virus will also definitely automatically eliminated. What about the hepatitis A and E? Hepatitis A and E are the viruses. If you provide safe drinking water to each and every part of the world, there is no A and E. B and D viruses. What about the hepatitis B and hepatitis D viruses? If through the vaccination, if you can eliminate the B, automatically B is eliminated, D is eliminated. The problem with the only one single virus that is challenging the mankind, particularly Indians, is nothing but hepatitis C virus. So this hepatitis C virus is the most dangerous, notorious virus which is actually responsible for hepatocellular carcinoma, which is nothing but liver cancer. So if you want to get rid of that hepatocellular carcinoma or liver cancer, you need to see the entire concept. So if you can eliminate the hepatitis C, the entire hepatitis can be controlled. Why? Because through the safe drinking water, hepatitis A and E are eliminated. So by vaccination, B is given, hepatitis B vaccination is there. Okay, so B is eliminated means D is eliminated. So the only hepatitis virus that is not provided with any vaccination is nothing but hepatitis C virus, because it is the smallest hepatitis virus. Okay, so that is the very important area you should remember about the segment called as what? Hepatitis virus. Identify the wrong statements regarding rabies vaccine. Rabies is not a zoonotic disease, a disease that is transmitted from animals to humans, caused by the rabies virus of the Lysavi genus within the family of rhabdovirus. Except not, every word is most important and it is correct. It is a zoonotic disease, but transmitted from animals, caused by the rabies virus, and it belongs to the genus called as Lysavi virus, and it belongs to the family called as rhabdovirus. So, identify the wrong statements. So, once the wrong is there, not is there means maximum it can be the wrong. The virus is transmitted in the saliva of rabid animals and generally enters the body via infiltration of virus laden saliva from a rabid animal into a wound, or by direct exposure of mucosal surfaces to saliva from an infected animal. The virus cannot infiltrate intact skin. Okay, so once the virus reaches the brain, it further replicates, resulting in presentation of clinical signs from the patient. So the skin cannot filter this virus. Next, there are two clinical manifestations of rabies: classical or encephalitis and paralytic. Furious rabies is the most common form of human rabies, accounting for approximately 80% of cases. One of the most deadliest zoonotic disease is nothing but rabies rather than Ebola. Even Ebola comes next to the rabies virus. Under the National Geospatial Policy 2022, Operation Dronagiri was launched on November 13, 2024. Which of the following are not the bounding areas of the four states? Founding areas of the four states are not included in the first phase. So, Telangana is not included in this first phase. What are the states that are included in the first phase of Operation Dronagiri of National Geospatial Policy? UP, Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra. Space Day is celebrated on August 23rd, as you know, because Chandrayaan-3 successfully landed on the south pole of the moon. Because of the successful landing on the south pole of the moon, August 23rd, we celebrate August 23rd as a National Space Day. Identify the incorrect statements regarding INS Vikrant. Okay. It was designed and built, no, it was designed by warship builders and built by Cochin Shipyard. Okay. Any naval ship, okay, any naval ship or any INS, you remember designing and building, okay, whether both are same or different. So you must be so much cautious about that. Okay. And it is equipped with stobar, short takeoff but arrested recovery. Yes, it is completely indigenously built. Okay. So INS Vikrant is indigenously developed aircraft carrier. Only one is incorrect. You win. Immunization. Identify the correct statements regarding this platform. It is for tracking and administration of 11 life-saving vaccines. It is to provide vaccine to women and children from birth to 16 years of age. Okay, so both the statements are correct. So actually, UWIN is the online portal for the tracking and providing vaccines about this particular area. TB Mukt Bharat, 100 days intensified campaign for elimination of TB was launched. Generally, don't consider. So, this is the model question I framed particularly. Generally, what we consider, okay, National TB Day, World Global TB Day is celebrated on March 24th. What we assume is March 24th can be the TB Day. Hence, we try to identify March 24th years. We try to change. So, if you identify more than one answer as the right answer, you don't roam around them and move and identify the odd man out. That could be the very interesting elimination technique for these areas. 7th December 2024. Pradhan Mantri TB Mukt Bharat Abhiyan initiative was launched. Nutritional support to TB patients was launched on September 9th, 2025. Gravitational wave 250114, January 14th, 2025. On January 14th, 2025, okay, a gravitational wave was detected by scientists from LIGO and Virgo in Europe. It is detected by LIGO and Virgo in 4 times. This observation waves are ranked one of the best things. Okay, only one two statement is correct now. Identify the incorrect statement. Actually, it's a somewhat printing mistake. So you just identify this particular Venn diagram so that you can understand the segment. So artificial intelligence. So the subset of artificial intelligence is nothing but machine learning, and the subset of artificial and machine learning is nothing but deep learning. Okay. So here comes the concept called as data science. Based on that, you can frame the identify. Okay. So data science is the subset of AI. No, some of the portion of data science is not the part of artificial intelligence. Some data can be operated by the artificial intelligence and some data cannot be operated by the artificial intelligence. That is why it is very important in terms of your examination point of view. JAXA and ESA. So, it is a rocket science chemistry applied in space. So, that is the important information with reference to the question paper. So, I hope you understand this concept. So, try to identify the areas, not question to answer. Try to identify the areas so that you can understand the entire concept with reference to the science and technology. Okay. I hope you understand this concept. Thank you very much. All the very best. God bless you all.